Hey guys, it's Mitchell. I thought I would make a brief update video on my vacuum cleaner collection before I go back to school in a few days. Um, as you can see, I'm very tired as I've been getting ready to go back to school, but I definitely wanted to make at least one last video before I go back because I've gotten a lot of new machines. I've also gotten rid of a lot of machines just to make more space, also due to a lack of interest and wanting more money, and you know, most of the machines that I have I don't really use on a regular basis. So I just thought that maybe emphasizing quality over quantity is maybe more of a better thing to do when it comes to collecting things. So let's see what we've got on our hands. So, not much has changed over here. That's my Wildcat. For those of you who don't know, I got that from another collector about an hour away from me, probably about 4 years ago now. Had a shot belt as well as a shot brush roll bearing, so I miraculously found a donor Wildcat at a vacuum cleaner shop. So I was able to salvage the parts off of it, and now it's fully functional. Now the Crosswind, I purchased that last summer off of eBay, and I must say I don't use it very much because the plastic is so delicate and easy to damage that I don't want it to break, because it's probably one of the rarest vacuums that I have, given that it was only sold for a couple of months before Phantom Technologies went bankrupt. So it actually has a lot of power. My guess is it's because maybe the single cyclone design doesn't impede on the airflow as much, but then again it also clogs a lot faster. And it's hardly been used. There's still white chalk-like markings on the brush roll from when it was manufactured, so I think that's pretty cool. In my Cyclone XT, the motor does have to be serviced at some point. I pulled the light bulbs out to put on other machines, so I need to get new light bulbs for it. But I recently put a new HEPA filter in it. I also found a lint brush for it at a vacuum shop, which was an optional accessory. But yeah, every once in a while I still use it. Then I have my Lightning. My grandmother bought that for me on eBay 8 years ago. It was my 13th birthday present. Again, I don't use it very much because the plastic is so delicate, especially on the power head, neck, and handle release. That is a new old stock dustbin, which I was very lucky to find from a friend's vacuum cleaner store. I also have the new Unbox mini power head accessory as well as the floor tool. The mini power nozzle came off of eBay, and the Phantom floor nozzle came from a previous Phantom dealer in Pennsylvania. The how-to video, that's new in the package, never been opened. I used to have another one also new in package, but I gave that away to a friend. Now this Kenmore, this is the vacuum I have my parents use and my brother use while I'm gone and away at school. I just performed the basic servicing on it tonight. Replaced the belt, lubricated the brush roll bearings, put in a new bag, just dusted the inside underneath the cover, because it tends to get dusty underneath that cover, build up from dog hair and stuff, so I clean that all up. It does probably need a new HEPA filter, but I'm going to wait until the fall to put that HEPA filter in, because it's mainly carbon dust. I only use HEPA bags in this vacuum now, so it's really I don't think an emergency for me to replace that filter because it's mainly just carbon dust, you know. This Dirt Devil stick vac was my grandmother's, um, and I wanted something else for my family to use that was bagless to use as a quick pickup vacuum on the floors. So I'm leaving this for them. It's actually a relatively good stick vacuum. It has a decent amount of power, very loud, but um, you know, very easy to maintain because it has a big cartridge filter in it. So you can just tap it out and it's clean. I probably should order a new filter for it in the fall, so I'll probably do that. Um, but it is a very nice little vacuum. I mended the handle. There was a pin missing in the handle, so I kind of rigged a plastic pin with some hot glue to just nudge it in there to keep the handle from separating and it falling out of your hand. So again, it's, you know, not worth putting too much into a cheap stick vacuum, but these are actually pretty good. They don't really make stick vacuums like that anymore. This was from like the mid 2000s, and these are actually relatively well made for a stick vacuum. This is my new inbox Phantom that I purchased off of eBay back in the fall. It has left the box once, and I did turn it on once, but that's the only time I ever turned it on. It has not been used to pick up any dirt, and I don't plan on using it to pick up anything because I have a bunch of fully functional Phantoms already that I use. So there's no point in using, you know, a brand new Phantom when the chances of me finding at least too many other new Phantoms is pretty much slim to none. In this box is a Hoover Air Revolve, and I've yet to pull it out of the box. One, because I've been too busy, but two, I kind of like keeping things in the box when they're brand new. I got that from one of my friends who has a vacuum cleaner store. He gave me a pretty good deal on it. Eventually it's going to come out of the box. I'm just not sure when yet. On top of that is a very interesting machine. Well, not that interesting, but interesting to find new in box. That is a TriStar canister, one of the last all metal canisters made before they switched over to the new design, which had plastic wands and a cheaper, not two-stage motor, one-stage motor rather. And I got a pretty good deal on it. Let's see, I'd like to at least show the top of this box so you can see what it looks like. Let's see, pull this out. There's a lot. This box was packaged well. Has a lot of flaps to open. So there's the machine. Not too much to see. It's a 90s TriStar, but it has the power head and everything. It even came with the optional exhaust filter. This is another machine I'm hesitant to open up and use because you see so many used ones in good shape that it's like there's almost no point in making this one a used vacuum. So this one has been turned on, but it's never been used to vacuum up dirt, so it's still technically new. This Kenmore was my grandmother's, the same one where this Dirt Devil came from, and actually that Kenmore was from my other grandmother. It was like a secondary vacuum, and I think she bought it around 2002, 2003 when she moved into an apartment. And that is a very low mileage vacuum. Even though it's 17 years old, I'd say it only probably has 3 or 4 years worth of use on it because she rarely used it. And even in my possession for the first couple of years I had it, it wasn't used much. So, you know, and those are very good vacuums. They have a ton of suction. It's crazy. But anyway, this Kenmore, my grandmother bought it in 2004. I still have the manual and the receipt and the parts order list. She had the box, but it was unfortunately destroyed in a mild um, basement flood. So, unfortunately, the box is long gone. She kept it for probably 5 or 6 years after that. She got the vacuum, but the box was destroyed. But I put a new HEPA filter in it. She always used genuine Kenmore bags, paper ones, but genuine. I don't think she ever bought more than one package of bags, in all honesty. She bought one, like, 24 pack or something of genuine Kenmore bags, and I think that's the only bag she pretty much ever used in this machine. She didn't vacuum very much, so I'm fortunate this particular one is still relatively low mileage. It's getting hard to find Kenmore canisters that are in good, really good condition, because everybody usually who buys them beats them up. So, yeah. This Kenmore I've had forever. I got this when I was 13 years old from my uncle. He got it up. It was just about to go into the landfill, so he saved it for me. And since then, I was fortunate enough to find a new old stock hose at a thrift store, so I have that, and I'm still kind of amazed that I found a 30-something-year-old new old stock Kenmore hose for only a couple bucks. I'll never find a deal like that again. And since then, I was able to replenish the tools, so now it has a complete set of tools. I've made one change to this vacuum. I actually use Kenmore HEPA bags in it. That is actually a Kenmore U upright bag, but I put some tape around the tube so that I'd be able to fit this bag on there, because it would slide off if I didn't put that little extra gasket on there. This bag is actually almost pretty full, so I better change it soon, but yeah. In the motor in this one, the bearings are starting to get a little loud, so I'm going to have to get serviced at some point. And recently, I was finally able to find the original, or I should say correct style power head for this vacuum. When I got this, it had a later Centec style power nozzle that was like an off-white color. This is the original style power nozzle that would have gone with this particular vacuum. So I'm very fortunate that I finally was able to make it both matching, so I'm very, very happy with it. This dry tech was another present from my grandmother. That was my 15th birthday present, and she bought it on eBay for me. And I don't use it much, and it's not that it doesn't really work. It works okay on soil, but it doesn't really work on stains. Then again, I don't think it's really meant to. It's more of just a collector piece because it's such an unusual design, but you can tell it hasn't been used much because of how clear this bin is, and it came like that. So, but it works great. I've actually had 2 or 3 other dry techs, but I got rid of them all. I really only need one, so I kept the nicest one. This is my Phantom Fury limited edition. I bought it off of eBay, and since then, the little lint trap that is on the bottom of the machine, which is a later, and that tells you it's a later model Fury, because all the later model Furies had the lint trap at the bottom as opposed to the top of the machine. That was broken when I got it. It was broken in 2, so actually part of it was just missing, so I had to find a new lint trap. I was fortunate to find one out of a machine at a vacuum store, so I pulled that off, put it in. That vacuum does not have a lot of airflow, but then again, all Furies are pretty much like that. So you can see I only have one Fury, so that should tell you something. I wouldn't mind having another Fury. I'd really like to get another one of the early 10 amp models, but it's not something that I really need, at least right away. So I'm willing to wait. Right next to it's my Thunder, one of my Thunders. That's actually the first vacuum I ever bought new. Haven't done too much to it lately. I blew out all of my Phantoms tonight with my Shop Vax blower, just because they get so much dust caught up in the cyclones that it's really necessary to, clean those periodically. I was lucky enough to find a small pallet of new old stock Phantom HEPA filters on eBay, and they were insanely cheap. They were only like $30 for 4 filters, so that was a steal. I couldn't pass that up. So that Thunder has a new filter. Now I can say all of my Phantoms of this style all have new filters, so I'm very happy to be able to say that, because eventually you're never gonna be able to find them. Within the next 5 or 10 years, they're gonna be completely obsolete. So get them while you can, I guess. But that vacuum I've had since I was 11 years old. That's the first vacuum I ever got for my collection. $20 on Craigslist. The motor will have to be serviced pretty soon, but I do maintain the vacuum fairly well. I probably should change the belt, but the motor has been blown out numerous times since I've had the machine. And to the right of that is my Kenmore Destiny Plus. That was another present from my grandma. I'm trying to remember. Okay, that was my 14th birthday present from her. That was another eBay find, like I said. Haven't done too much to it besides just changing the belt. And like I said, I blew out all the cyclones today. The reason why I have this machine is not only because it's more rare than the regular Phantom models. We had one, I had one, or my parents had one when I was born. My dad went out to Sears right after I was born and bought one of these. Not exactly the same, but very similar. Ours didn't have this pasted on sticker-like graphics. Ours were just stamped on in the machining process. It wasn't a sticker. And it also had a smaller Destiny Plus logo at the bottom instead of saying Kenmore like that does right there. But like I said, very similar to the one that we had when I was born, and that's why I have this machine. Mechanically, it's identical to the Thunder, so any parts that you need for that machine, Thunder parts will work. In front of it is my newer Thunder. This is the more modern Thunder design where they redesigned the cover. They also made the Phantom logo smaller, and I remember they did something with the motor on the later ones too, but I can't exactly remember what. And the accents are very similar, but to the Lightning and the Cyclone XT, they wanted to make it look a little bit more modern, because by this time the vacuum was an over 10-year-old design, so it was starting to look pretty dated, so they wanted to make it look a little bit more modern before they stopped making them completely. I have a new old stock dustbin for this, but I don't have it in there because I don't want to ruin that new dustbin, so I just use that one. But it's scuffed up a little bit, but I bought it at an estate sale 2 years ago, and actually it came in the box. That's the box right there. It was refurbished, and it says it right on the box it was refurbished, so it works pretty well. It's not in mint condition, but it's in pretty good condition. Now this, would you believe, after I found that Phantom, I found this one, and this was a Craigslist find. 5 minutes away from my house. I was browsing Craigslist like I usually do every night, and I saw that, and I thought, it wasn't inexpensive, but it wasn't really expensive either. So I grabbed it, and it had been used, but it was only used once, and there was really hardly anything in the dustbin, so she didn't really vacuum up that much. So it's still practically brand new. Plastic's still shiny. There's not really any scratches on it at all. The only scratches that are on it very well could have even been from the Phantom manufacturing process. So, but yeah, it's pretty much complete, but it doesn't have the how-to video. I'm pretty sure it would have come with one, but it's not there. The I'm not even sure if it actually has the extension hose. But yeah, it's practically brand new. That one was purchased in '97, and this one, I don't know if this one was ever purchased, but it was um, from Electric Avenue, and that one was from Kenmore. This Vectron I got from the Vacuum Museum. I have this one. My friend has the other one. They had two Vectrons. The motor needed to be rebuilt, so I had another friend rebuild it for me, and now it runs great. It actually surprisingly has quite a bit of suction power, which is quite shocking for one. Excuse me, I keep yawning because I'm tired. From one of these machines. Um, but it works great now, and I still use it every once in a while. I don't want to use it too much just because the plastic is pretty brittle, and it's a very rare machine. This is actually technically the first Phantom. These vacuums were made for commercial use starting in the late 80s, and when S.C. Johnson pulled out of the vacuum market in '91, that paved the way for Phantom, and the rest is history. It is slightly different mechanically to a Phantom like this one right here. This is a relatively early Phantom, not the earliest one, but an earlier one. This vacuum's a 10 amp motor, and this one's 11. So, and this one I got off of Craigslist, and I bought it from the original owner. I still have the paperwork for it and the receipt. He actually bought it right through the Phantom infomercial, through that 1-800 number in 1994. Like I said, it's not the earliest Phantom, but it's relatively early, and you can tell because of these rubber parts that are not black. Later ones, they were all black. And actually, I like this better just because I just think it gives it more character. And you actually, these ones are a little bit harder to find too. The ones with these trim pieces. And from what I've been told, because this vacuum isn't that much older than, say, this 11 amp Phantom over here, from what I've been told, it really depended on the retailer, the place you bought it, that would determine whether or not it would come with these trim pieces that were in different colors. Because I've seen Phantoms that are about the same age as this with all black trim pieces, so it's really kind of not clear why that is. Now this is a very rare machine. This is a Whirlwind Ultra Lightspeed. I got this from one of my friends I traded him a couple of rare vacuums to get this thing. It's essentially a Eureka Smart Vac, but it's bagless. They're very rare because this vacuum is from the early 2000s, and you can see there's a shroud in there. It's dual cyclonic, and the patents for Dyson's dual cyclone design weren't out yet. This is quite different design from a Eureka Dyson, but for whatever reason there was something that there was an infringement on here somewhere, so they had to pull it off the market, which is almost too bad because it's actually a very good vacuum. It's ugly and it's heavy and it's kind of loud, but it does clean carpet incredibly well. And yes, I would even say it probably does clean better than a Phantom. Has way more suction than a Phantom. The nice thing is a lot of the wearable parts, the HEPA filter, the belt, the brush roll, all are interchangeable with the Smart Vac, which is a very common machine, even though they don't make them anymore. they still sold millions of them. So the smart vac parts work on this. So most of the parts that go bad on this you can replace with smart vac parts. The only thing you really can't get is this tube filter right here, and unfortunately there's no real substitute for it. But I did wash it as best as I could. Um, so I think it'll be okay, since I don't plan on using this machine too much, but I do like to use it every once in a while because it actually does clean very well. The only other issue is that this gasket doesn't have a really good seal. You could actually hear the air escaping. So even though it has that HEPA filter, it's not a vacuum that was designed to be good for allergies, really. Next to it's my Precision. I got that at a thrift store about a couple months ago, and it was in good shape. The brush roll was in really good shape, but the plastic on it's brittle. Unfortunately, the original base I had for this completely cracked in multiple places. So, luckily enough, I had a vacuum collector friend who has a shop, and I was able to pull this hood out of his basement. Not the correct color, but it fits on the machine. But you can see the discrepancy. That says 6.5 amp motor because this came from a lower end Precision. This was like more middle of the line. This vacuum actually has a 7.5 amp motor, not a 6.5. This, I bought that brand new when I was 9 years old at Walmart. I think I paid, I seem to think it was $45, $46, $47 around there. It still works, but I don't use it much because it's got a teeny tiny little motor, and I don't want to burn out the motor in it because it's, the first vacuum I ever bought new. So, or bought really in general. So, I used it to clean my basement. And then I used it around the house, but I'd say probably, I bought this in 2007. I would say I probably quit using it daily, probably around 2011, 2012. As I got more machines, I used it less so. But they're relatively good for carpet that has a decent brush roll, but filtration is terrible. It's just got a thin filter at the top of it. This is a rare machine. This is a Eureka Whirlwind. Not like this one. This one's different. This one was made in Europe, and I can't remember which country, but maybe Sweden or Switzerland. I think maybe Sweden. That was from a vacuum shop, brand new. I turned it on once, and it was the first time it had ever been turned on. It's actually a very nice machine, and I wonder why they didn't sell more of them, at least here, because it's quite a nice design. Kind of very streamlined, but a couple years after they pulled this off the market, they came out with a Kenmore. It was like this, called the Cyclonic Clean System. It was the same vacuum, but slightly different. The Kenmore version had a headlight. It came with a turbo brush. It also had variable speed control, from what I remember. So slightly different, but again, very interesting, very rare vacuum. I did turn it on once, but I didn't pick up dirt with it because I want to keep it new in good condition. My Royal Deluxe Power Team, I bought that on eBay. That vacuum was a disaster when I bought it. It had the infamous plugs problems. The plug had burned up, and it ruined the hose, so I had to get a new hose and a new one. It cost me over $100 to get those parts. But it was worth it because it's actually probably one of the most powerful machines I've ever used, paired with a very nice Centec power head. The brush strips are worn in the power head, and unfortunately those brush strips are hard to get because the regular Kenmore whisper tone ones won't fit in this because it's a slightly different shape and width to it. But it's a very nice machine, and it's a shame that they quit making them because it's a very old school but a very effective machine. My Filter Queen, I bought this 4 years ago. No, not 4. 5 years ago off of Craigslist for only 20 bucks. Came with a whole bunch of genuine filters. I think it was missing the attachments. I'm trying to think though. Yeah, I pulled the attachments off another filter queen that I got after the fact. But it works great. I've replaced the exhaust filter because it was filled with carbon dust. The newer foam filters don't work as well as the old ones as far as noise suppression, but they let a lot more air pass through. I also replaced the brush wool in the power head with a generic brush wool. I think it may have been a CWP. But yeah, the vacuum works very well, and actually I prefer these older all metal ones in comparison to the newer ones. The heavier metal power heads clean carpet better, so that's why I enjoy this machine so much, and so does my friend Greg. This is my Sibo air belt C3-1. I got this from a friend, another collector. It's pretty beat up when I got it. It had a bunch of crap from like duct tape, and we don't know why it had all that duct tape on it because there was nothing broken. But I eventually got all of that off with a lot of elbow grease. Ordered new filters for it as well as new bags. There is a special mechanism that raises and lowers the power nozzle. It's this little spring right here, and none of us can figure out how to put the damn thing back in. So it's just going to have to stay like that. I can't use it on thicker carpet like this without that spring because it will just get bogged down. But I can use it on my low pile carpet in my bedroom. It's fine for that, but anything else, it just is going to bog down too much. I'm not too concerned about it. I don't have a whole lot of money invested in the machine. Eventually, either I'm going to get a new machine, because this one's pretty old. This one's probably about 15 years old. Maybe even a little bit more. But I probably will invest in a new power head, because this one is like the smaller power nozzle. I prefer the bigger L-shaped Sibo power nozzles, so I may invest in that, but not anytime soon because they're not cheap. Getting towards the end here now, we have this Lux 7000. I purchased it at an estate sale. Why am I saying estate sale? It's because I'm extremely tired. I don't think I even have any vacuum cleaners anymore that I actually got at estate sales. But this is my Lux 7000. I purchased it at a garage sale at the early time this summer. It came with all the attachments, but it was very grimy. But for 20 bucks, I couldn't resist it. I actually still have to clean it up a little bit more still. I'm just looking at it now, and it still looks kind of grimy, but me and my friend and I cleaned it up pretty well, and he put a brand new canister motor in it because the old one was shot, as well as a new power nozzle motor. So it's practically a new vacuum cleaner now. I think that's what I'm going to bring back to school with me in a few days. And I won't let anybody else use it because now it's practically a new vacuum cleaner. So, yeah, but I really like those machines. I actually, crazy enough, I enjoy using the plastic body Electrolux and Aris canisters better just because they're so much lighter. And I don't abuse my vacuum, so the plastic isn't gonna be breaking on them from me dropping them down the stairs, because that just doesn't happen with me. So I actually do enjoy the plastic ones as far as using them. And the last one that we got is this guy in here. I don't want to open it completely, but at least so you guys can see. You know what, I'm not even gonna bother. You know why? Because I'll just tell you what's in the damn box so you can look it up yourself if you really want to know what's in that fucking box. But That is a Ricard 8900 series, the last of the really good vacuum cleaners that Taconi made before they went in the shithole. Um, uh, but I got that from one of my friends. I got an incredible deal on that vacuum cleaner. That was like an $800 or $900 vacuum cleaner new, and I definitely didn't pay even close to that for it. Brand new, never used. This one I actually have not powered up. Um, I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I don't really want to use it, but I have a feeling at some point I will, and it won't hurt anything. Those vacuum cleaners were made to last 20, 30 some years because it's got a dual stage motor in it, but I had my doubts about purchasing one of those machines new because you can find so many used ones in such good shape, but at the same time, the vacuum cleaners are now discontinued, so I couldn't pass up the opportunity to get a brand new one. And I kind of like having a bunch of brand new machines, and I work hard enough for my money that I can afford to splurge every once in a while on having something brand new that's never been used. It kind of, you know, makes me feel kind of special inside. So, but anyway, that is my collection, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and bear with me because I'm extremely tired and I'm not gonna take the time to edit this video. So yes, you probably heard me yawn many times in this video, but you know, if you don't like the video, you don't have to watch the whole thing. So I'm signing off, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your night.